So I'm going to ask some uncomfortable questions here, if I haven't already. And this comes back to that security. So again, I want you to come think back to what you said. Did you think, yes, I've got a secure data center, or no, I don't? Especially if you said yes. So let's walk through some of these. Do my users have unneeded access to my data center? What does that mean? My users have to access the data center. That's where all their applications live, right? But do they need to access my database servers? Do they need to have access to my Tier 1 applications? Any sensitive data? How are the bad guys getting in these days? It's not through the firewall. Social engineering is a big one. Malware, probably number 1 and number 2. Okay, where does the bad guy then live? The bad guy lives on your users' machines. We did a security talk about 1.5 years ago in this room on the opposite side, but and the security guy who was talking said, you know, it's one of these ones that you almost hear about online, or you read about online, right? And he says, yeah, we did it. We went out to a bank branch and we dropped a bunch of USB keys out there and saw how many, and we had root access to multiple computers by the end of the day. I mean, these are the users we have to deal with. They're not perfect, not that we're perfect, but I mean, this is the situation. So if your users can, even if they've got ping access, if they can RDP into something, if you can sit down on a user machine and RDP to your servers, yeah, that's convenient when you're out and about, but that's a big problem because that means the bad guys have that same access. Do my servers have unneeded access to my data center? What in the world does that mean? Isn't that where my servers live? What do you think that first bullet point is referring to? Anybody know? Target? It's a little infamous, and it's getting a little old, maybe long in the tooth from a story perspective. But the problem is I'm not seeing anybody learn from it. What's the story? Right? Credit card systems got hacked. Target lost 40 million accounts, or records, I should say. So 40 million records, like credit card machine or credit card numbers and addresses and phone numbers and all that. So massive PR hit. I mean, that was a big deal when it happened. Believe it or not, it's already been 3.5 years since that happened. But what happened? HVAC system had access to the credit card machines. Why? Because that's how we build our data centers. Yeah, I mean, if you haven't heard the analogy, we've got the hard candy shell and the squishy jelly inside, right? I mean, you break through that outer barrier and you've got full reign to everything. So what's the weakest link in your data center? Is it your HVAC system? Yeah, Windows 2003 server? Anyone? I'm hearing some yeses. That's not good. 2008, by the way, goes away in 3 years. Everybody know that? 2012, less than 3 years. So it takes a while to move off of 2008. Are you guys going to be off of 2008 by the time it goes end of support? And really, how fast is Microsoft really supporting that platform right now? Or how proactively are they patching it? I mean, sure, we're relying on them to some extent, but... So the question is, what in my data center has access to what? And more often than not, it's everything has access to everything. And the last question would be, how often do I update my security policies? Is it when I deploy a new application? Is it when I have new users? Or that last item, what security policies? And that's the one I see a lot of. So why aren't we deploying security policies? Why aren't we doing this? Who has time for that? It's hard. It's hard. I mean, for crying out loud, every time a new user comes on board, every time a new application, new virtual machines I have to deploy, I've got to deploy a security policy around that. Do whatever it takes to pass an audit, but I mean, come on, let's be reasonable. So what do we have? Well, over here, concept is something called NorthSouth security, right? My users are up here, my data center's here, and it's that security level between north and south. So some people, hopefully in this room, we've got that firewall. NorthSouth security is a little easier to address because I can put a firewall within my data or between my data center and my users. Now it's got to be a bigger firewall because there's a lot of traffic coming in out of the data center, so it can be expensive, but maybe a little more doable. I usually see north-south security addressed before east-west. East-west is, here's my data center, it's all my servers, and they're just talking to each other, right? So that's why I call it east-west. And that becomes a challenge. I've got 2 virtual machines on the same VLAN on the same virtual switch inside a host. How do I stop those VMs from talking to each other? And the last one, Again, why don't we have security policies? Because we're just too busy. We don't have enough time to address it. We need some help. We need something to fill that. So, I asked you earlier whether you had a secure data center. Now maybe, I don't know if you've changed your tune or if you kind of, people who at least maybe were more honest and said no. So which best describes your data center? The Death Star, orbital battle station, power to destroy a planet, maybe not, but at least hopefully completely sealed off, or maybe one with a bunch of holes in it. And at least the Empire had the North-South security around the Death Star. We're getting a little off the beaten path here. It's a little nerdy, but a lot of our data centers have holes. And it's not that a data center can have zero weaknesses, because even the Death Star had a weakness that was easily exploited. But hopefully it's something that we've built entirely with intentionality